Rampage Jackson punched a streamer in the face at a party last night after repeatedly telling him to stop touching him.
I'm gonna show you. You look like you look like you look like oh, dude! Oh my God! Don't touch my girlfriend. I'm sorry. Stop. Right. That's the rule. If I do it again, it'll be harder. It's gonna be an uppercut. You'll get knocked out. You do it. You do it. Do it. Do it. I don't play that game. Don't touch my. Respect straight people. No, you're not straight though. Okay. You want to find out? Yeah. You want to find out? Yes. Touch me again. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. You look like you look like. I don't play that game.
No, he did not.
Yeah. I come from different generations. All these young gay. I go to jail behind mine.
Sean Strickland has released footage of a sparring session with Anthony Hernandez, an opponent he previously faced and defeated via TKO in the third round this past February.
That's fine.
Okay, good. Well,
Thank you so much, brother. Yeah, sure, man. I'm here for you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Campus. Real tough. Real tough Mexican.
Charles Oliveira says he'd choose Islam Makhachev, Dustin Poirier, and Ilia Topuria to have by his side in a street fight.
To be perfectly honest with you, at first I wouldn't call anyone at all, because that is simply the sort of person I tend to be. That's just how I am. If someone tries to provoke me into a fight, I usually just don't go for it.
Is this a game? Is she famous already? And all the fighters are asked, here are 3 fighters, specifically UFC. This is an interesting question because I wonder who Charles will take with him.
Islam Makhachev, there's Paul. Who? Islam Makhachev?
The fighters are Islam Makhachev, Dustin Poirier, and also Ilia Topuria.
Ilia Topuria?
Yeah.
Every time we see each other, they treat me very well. These are 3 guys whom I respect a lot as fighters. And not just for what they do in the cage, but also for who they are outside of it. And
who is the best among these 3?
Out of these 3, Islam Makhachev.
Islam Makhachev?
Yes, Islam Makhachev. I think he is an exceptionally talented master and is currently working hard on improving his footwork. I think he is one of those who, in my opinion, has undergone the most significant transformation.
In other news, Nasruddin Imavov has revealed that he initially wanted to face Dricus du Plessis, but the UFC has informed him that his next fight will be a title bout.
I'm guessing you're preparing for something. Is it the belt? Is it Sean Strickland that you're preparing for?
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course, next fight is a belt. Before the fight, Strickland with Khamzat, I wanted to fight Dricus.
Yeah.
To stay, comment dire, d'être patient.
Active.
Pour rester active. To stay active. Yeah, exactly. To stay active. And UFC told me I could fight only belt.
Really? That's what they said. You can't.
Belt.
They said no DDP.
After this fight, Khamzat vs Strickland.
Yeah.
100%. I fight
for the belt. So you're going for the belt next.
Exactly.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
But
now I stay. I'm passionate guy. Patience is key. Okay. Exactly.
Yeah. You don't like Sean Strickland? You don't like him?
No, I not like him. It's not like he's not good person. He's I don't know. He talked every day.
Was it what he said about to Hamzat that made you upset? Because he said a lot of stuff about Hamzat and you guys are friends.
On a déjà eu un fight auparavant. Là, il m'a insulté à plusieurs reprises, même pendant la fight week de Hamzat, il m'a insulté de terroriste. C'est tellement de conneries que c'est dur de pas vouloir lui arracher sa tête.
Is this fight personal between you and Sean Strickland?
It's very personal.
Very personal?
Ça, c'est l'un des... je crois que c'est le seul combattant qui c'est vraiment personnel dans...
Dustin Poirier has disclosed that his contract with Bud Light was immediately terminated following his airport arrest, resulting in the loss of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Stand between you and Bud Light.
No, they terminated my contract immediately.
Oh. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good, man. I don't need that poison in my life.
So you feel at peace with it?
I mean, it sucks that my family loses out on the money I had left on the deal with them, which is a few $100,000, but also if I'm representing something that I'm not going to be, if I'm advertising something I'm not going to be taking part in and promoting stuff that, you know, it's just, it is what it is.
Sure. You don't want to be you don't want to be sitting here saying I don't drink and then being in a commercial for something that you're not using, basically.
Right, and I don't have a problem with people. There's plenty of people out there who do drink responsibly.
Sure.
I'm not one. I'm not one. So if you can drink responsibly, have fun. Drink a Bud Light. Drink a whatever the hell you want. Be responsible. Have a good time.
Ian Garry has faced criticism this week for a clip in which he shares his theory that women should be in charge.
Should look at his wife and know that that's the person I need to listen to. Like, if the world was run by women, we'd all live in a better world. Like, it would all be simpler and easier. That's the fact of the matter, whether you want to agree with it or not, or you think whatever it is, if women ruled the world and we just listen to them and let them take over, it would be an easier world.
Can I just...
Royce Gracie recently joined Georges St. Pierre's podcast, where he shared his MMA Mount Rushmore.
Who is, right now, would you say your Mount Rushmore of MMA, if you have to choose?
I'll definitely have to put my father in there.
Yeah.
He's the one that I mean, my uncle Carlos is the one that first learned, but my father is the one that developed the defensive style, the whole how to defend yourself. He had leveraging from the techniques, you see. So he's the one that developed the whole MMA and challenge everybody or went for it. So it would definitely have to be my father.
Yeah.
You would be there. I would have put Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
If I had to choose four, and I would definitely put John Jones in there.
Yeah,
that would be my four guys.
100%.
That I would choose.
Lastly, someone else that you know well, Islam. He's fighting next UFC 330 next month against Ian Machado Garry. You're good at predictions, so who do you got in that fight?
I got Islam.
How?
It's a tough fight. I think it's a submission.
Submission.
But I gotta rewatch Ian Garry's fight because I don't know him very well. People saying like he has a good takedown defense.
Yeah. So we'll rewatch and come back to that.
So because I know everything in my division.
Yeah.
But I don't know a lot of people in 170, so I cannot say. But like Islam, right now he's the best, so it's a little bit hard to beat.
Islam Makhachev's octagon dominance now matches his fame. UFC President Dana White recently listed the champion as a top organization star, also naming Arman Tsarukyan. With an imminent title defense, Makhachev is a dominant champion and a major UFC draw.
Like, do you think he's
definitely one of the biggest stars?
Top 5, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Wow. Who else would you put in that category with him?
Top stars?
Yeah.
I mean, John Jones is still around. You have O'Malley, Merab has done very well.
Islam?
And become a star. Islam, absolutely.
Do you think Arman's up there with all he's been doing with Nina and stuff?
Arman definitely is.
I feel like you can't go a day without seeing an Arman.
That guy's done a great job of getting out there and getting himself a lot of attention, and you know, a lot of needed drama work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Former UFC title challenger Colby Covington predicts Islam Makhachev's wrestling will overwhelm Ian Machado Garry. Covington believes Makhachev will dominate from the outset with takedowns and control, leaving Garry unable to mount any offense.
Speaking of you being the former interim welterweight champion of the UFC, next UFC card, they have Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Garry. Who do you favor in that?
You know, I favor Makhachev for sure. I think he's just going to take him down and dictate his pace and put the fight where he wants to fight. He's too strong for that little twig, you know, that little puck that sits in the corner and watches his wife get dogged out by the nutritionist. So, you know, I got Islam. Islam ain't doing.
Islam Makhachev is undergoing rigorous preparation for a highly anticipated welterweight title fight against Ian Machado Garry. As Islam trains, the MMA world is alive with heated discussion. Former champions, top athletes, trainers, and analysts are offering their predictions.
Do you think that getting this fight against Islam Makhachev, do you think you've helped to make that happen, aside from just being a great fighter?
I believe so. I know I've earned this fight from fighting, but I absolutely know that my online presence has helped funnel fans into the same mindset. Because I've earned it. There's no doubt that I've earned it. I beat the former champion. My reward for winning this fight means my next fight is a guy I already beat on 3 weeks' notice. That's my reward. That's my next opponent. Does that make sense? A guy I already beat.
After Makhachev.
After Makhachev, when I beat him, my reward is you have to fight a guy again that you already beat on 3 weeks' notice. I've earned the fight. I went in and I beat him by 3 rounds. Dominated me, couldn't take me down. The whole point of his game was he couldn't take me down. It's a guy who trained with Islam. I'm genuinely, like, I'm not afraid. There's nothing I see him doing that I'm afraid of. There's nothing I think of him doing that I'm afraid of. I chose to do this sport for a living. I chose to get into MMA. I wanted to be a world champion. I wanted to prove I was one of the best in the world. And I have to do that by beating some of the best in the world. So for me, there's no fear. There's risk of, well, you could lose, you could be unconscious, you could be X, Y, Z, but without that risk, I'll never achieve the dream.
Correct.
So it's not fear for me. It's part of the process. As I said, I think about all the things that can happen in a fight so that you're ready for them. I know how good Islam Makhachev is. I know how talented he is. He's 29-1 in the sport. He's a 2-weight division champion. He's the most successful lightweight champion of all time and had the most lightweight defenses of all time. He is the current welterweight champion of the world. He came up a division and won the title. He is tied for the longest consecutive active win streak in UFC history. And if he wins his next fight against me, he will break the record for the longest consecutive wins. So I have a 2-weight world champion, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. And the same man is looking to break the record for the most wins consecutively in the UFC. And that's the man I get to fight to prove that I'm the best in the world.
Sounds to me, though, like all of those things are your energy source.
When I beat him, there can be no doubt. When I beat him, it is undeniable.
Despite predictions favoring the champion, Garry insists he's earned this title shot through his octagon performances and division promotion. He argues his worthiness means no rematch was necessary, and he aims to prove it with a knockout win over Islam Makhachev.
Do you think that getting this fight against Islam Makhachev, do you think you've helped to make that happen, aside from just being a great fighter?
I believe so. I know I've earned this fight from fighting, but I absolutely know that my online presence has helped funnel fans into the same mindset. Because I've earned it. There's no doubt that I've earned it. I beat the former champion. My reward for winning this fight means my next fight is a guy I already beat on 3 weeks' notice. That's my reward. That's my next opponent. Does that make sense? A guy I already beat.
After Makhachev.
After Makhachev, when I beat him, my reward is you have to fight a guy again that you already beat on 3 weeks' notice. I've earned the fight. I went in and I beat him by 3 rounds. Dominated me, couldn't take me down. The whole point of his game was he couldn't take me down. It's a guy who trained with Islam.
For his upcoming fight against Islam Makhachev, Garry is mentally preparing for worst-case scenarios. He believes this awareness drives him to work harder, improve his game, and react naturally and confidently to any adverse situation in the octagon.
Ahead of a fight, you think about the fight. You think about the worst things that can possibly happen in the fight, because if you don't respect your opponent enough. I can think, I'm going to fight you. Now, I should think, you should be able to do nothing to me. But what if he hurts me? What if he does that? Okay, how do I prepare for that mentally? Yep. Because if you're not prepared for it, then if it happens, if any slight element of your plan comes off the track at any point, you can crumble. But if I've seen, this is fine, I've thought about this, I know this could happen, it's a fight. This is one of the best guys in the world, do you know what I mean? So I find when I fight, I think about all of the bad things that could potentially happen, so that it pushes me to train even harder, so that I'm ready for every single element of that. I feel like I train for the fight to be fluid, just easy, like just completely, like it's a...
And that has been an integral component of Gary's training in his quest to prepare himself for his impending clash with Islam Makhachev. Rather than counting on things working out for him in the ideal way, Gary has been preparing himself for all the worst-case scenarios he could possibly run into in the octagon. Gary believes that by doing this, he is being made to train even harder and work on every element of his game. Through such psychological preparations for adversities that may come, Gary does not want anything to surprise him on fight day.
I'm genuinely, I'm not afraid. There's nothing I see him doing that I'm afraid of. There's nothing I think of him doing that I'm afraid of. I chose to do this sport for a living. I chose to get into MMA. I wanted to be a world champion. I wanted to prove I was one of the best in the world. And I have to do that by beating some of the best in the world. So for me, there's no fear. There's risk of, well, you could lose, you could be unconscious, you could be X, Y, Z, but without that risk, I'll never achieve the dream.
Correct.
So it's not fear for me. It's part of the process. As I said, I think about all the things that can happen in a fight so that you're ready for them. I know how good Islam Makhachev is. I know how talented he is. He's 29-1 in the sport. He's a two-weight.
Even with all the confidence he has shown, Gary isn't overlooking the challenge that awaits him. He openly acknowledged Islam Makhachev's remarkable accomplishments, describing the champion as one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. From his dominant run at lightweight to capturing the welterweight title and building one of the longest active winning streaks in the promotion, Gary recognizes exactly what is standing across from him. He understands that a victory for Islam would add another historic milestone to the champion's legacy. At the same time, Gary sees that as the perfect opportunity to prove he belongs among the very best by defeating the sport's top pound-for-pound fighter.
Champion. He's the most successful lightweight champion of all time and had the most lightweight defenses of all time. He is the current welterweight champion of the world. He came up a division and won the title. He is tied for the longest consecutive active win streak in UFC history. And if he wins his next fight against me, he will break the record for the longest consecutive wins. So I have a two-weight world champion, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. And the same man is looking to break the record for the most wins consecutively in the UFC. And that's the man I get to fight to prove that I'm the best in the world.
Sounds to me, though, like all of those things are your energy source.
When I beat him, there can be no doubt. When I beat him, it is undeniable.
Dana White recently spoke out against Josh Hokit for his comments about Michelle Obama following his win over Derek Lewis at the White House. Hokit had made a controversial statement, falsely claiming Michelle Obama as a man.
Obama is a man. Am I right, America? Barack and Michelle Obama are public figures. And when you're a public figure, I mean, you guys know, it's part of the gig. But what I don't like, first of all, former First Lady of the United States, #1. #2, a wife, a mother. It's gross, inappropriate, the timing of it and everything. Obviously not the opinion of the UFC and not my opinion or anybody else that fought on that card. And it was a really unfortunate thing to happen that night. When you hit this grand slam home run and have a perfect event in every way that it could be. You got a moronic, you know, it's just, ugh. But, you know, other than that, it was a great night.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do? Left and right can both look at that. You can't tell me that everybody on the right went, yeah, she's a man. People were like, what an idiot. Yeah. Anyway, I could.
We'll move on.
I could go mental on this show right now, but I won't. But it was just, it was gross. It was just.
At UFC Oklahoma City over the weekend, Tommy McMillan defeated Alberto Montez via TKO in the 3rd round. On the Believe You Me podcast, McMillan says finding balance in his life has helped him grow as both an athlete and a man.
Finally was pretty happy with how I was performing in camp, knowing that I'm reaching, like I'm getting close to that, you know, my full ability to perform. I know how good I can be. And this camp was just, it was amazing. I think I grew more this camp as a man inside and outside the cage, probably more than my entire pro career. So I was so excited and ready to perform.
Tom Aspinall thought a vasectomy was his worst surgery until eye surgery.
I've had 3 surgeries. I had 1 on the left and 2 on the right. By the way, I've had the snip, right? I've had a vasectomy. And I was thinking, like, that is got to be the worst surgery ever. Mate, compared to eye surgery, it's nothing.
Are you serious?
Honestly.
Are you serious?
Honestly, yeah. It's horrendous.
Eye surgery
It's horrendous, honestly. Mate, lay awake. So they kept me awake.
Oh, they're going in.
Yeah. So I'm lay awake, right? They put something on, like, to keep your eyeball open like that. And obviously they numb it and stuff.
Where does the numbing? Does it get into your eye?
Yeah, they numb your eye.
They inject your eye?
So they did like drops and then they did an injection on the side. And mate, they're coming at you with like a scalpel or a knife or whatever it's called, and you're just watching them slice your eyeball open. You're just like, what is going on? It was horrific.
Former heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez called Islam Makhachev a breed apart, commending his comprehensive skills. Velasquez notes no major weakness in Makhachev's striking, wrestling, or fighting mentality, suggesting his continued dominance.
He's a special type of athlete, as we all know. He's one of those guys that are at the pinnacle of this sport here. I talk with Javier all the time, and Islam and those guys are always doing great. So they're in great hands. Javier is the one who builds champions. He's a master at what he does. So he's always with those guys. He's always with Islam, and so I know they're in great hands. They're getting exactly what they need as far as the the fighting goes, the training goes, all that. So I see Islam just continuously doing what he's doing, and that's winning impressively. He's somebody who's mastered all aspects of MMA.